Henry, welcome everybody to Getting Real with Biohacking. I'm Ben Larson. I'm joined today by Henry McIntyre, a senior software engineer at Vimeo and all-round genius. Awesome dude, and he's also an amateur biohacker, and he's gonna set the stage. How are you doing today, Henry?
Doing pretty well. Excited. I've been nervous all day for this. I woke up early and ironed my shirt. So
That's awesome. And I wore my best t-shirt today for this. So I'm trying to match your energy and failing, but I do appreciate you getting up early and ironing your shirt. And you picked a really awesome setting for the interview, and the room looks really good. Your frame looks really good. So let's get into it. Let's get into biohacking. Gonna go to the next scene. So we want to start off. This is getting real with the topic. So we want to give a little bit of background on it. Not everybody probably knows what biohacking is. And I made like a little bit of an overview. We're going to get into some demos of some of the projects that you've been working on, which are like super interesting. But starting off here, what is biohacking? There's like, I did some research on the internet. I know you probably have looked at this a lot, but there's like a few main sort of categories we could kind of go through. Um, One that anybody can try is nutrigenomics. And I don't know a lot about this, but it focuses on how the foods that you eat interact with your genes. And so could be doing like really changing your diet, eating only certain types of things. You have to know a lot about your biology, I think, to tailor this. Maybe there's like kind of medical people or like nutritionists or someone that you could go to, but you know, I think a subcategory of this that I'm kind of into is like nootropics. Like I take something called alpha GPC sometimes in the mornings with my coffee to like get me powered through working on RFPs or something. It helps focus. There's other things like that as well. Some people do like L-theanine and caffeine for focus. There's nootropics you can take to boost your memory and other like kind of cognitive functions. Have you ever gotten into this nutrigenomics business?
I haven't yet. I think it's super interesting though. A kind of a low impact way to augment, what your brain and body can do.
Yeah,
Kind of funny. I'll get into it
I
kind of backwards from
yeah, you're like going outside. All around pretty interesting. I think there's a lot more to go into there. Okay, implants. So this is something that I think you might be into. What do people do with implants?
You do all sorts of cool stuff. There are implanted magnets, biosensors for like temperature, body temperature, things like that. Um, NFC chips, so which are like a subset of RFID.
Uh-huh.
So you can store data, run little applets on them, so you can
Yeah.
kind of automate with that. Do like SSO keygen. Um,
Okay. Awesome.
yeah, there's lots of really cool things happening.
Yeah. And we have some cool demos that you did. I think another kind of like more low impact subversion of this is wearables.
Yeah,
And like I do a lot of tracking with my Apple Watch, like, not just your steps, your different kind of activities that you're logging. I log my sleep. I do a lot of things like that. There's like a saying that really stuck with me once called "What gets measured gets improved." And so if you can track some of these like weird systems that's going on with your body, you can kind of see like what your health is and how kind of keep an eye on it. But we'll get a little bit more into this now. The next step, we're kind of like going on the scale of like more and more intense. But tell me about this like grinder scene, because this sounds crazy. This sounds like what you think of when you hear biohacking to
yeah. So this is kind of who I identify with of the grinders, and grinders. this idea that came out of the transhumanist movement, where you are trying to augment the human body and senses with technology to do more. And it's a
Hmm.
kind of vanguard experimental group that a lot of it is, you know, why is because we can and see what works and what doesn't.
That's
You know, it's
right.
like Sir Emmett Hillary and they asked him, you know, why'd you climb Mount Everest? Because it's there.
Yeah,
And it's,
because
you
it's
know,
there.
why do I, clone my, makerspace badge into a chip in my hand? Because I know how and
Yeah,
I can, you know.
because you can.
Yeah.
That reminds me, there was a guy that he started. He was a scientist, and it kind of plays into like our next topic. But he he made he took the glow in the dark bioluminescent protein from a jellyfish and cloned it into rabbit fur. So he essentially made glow in the dark rabbits. And then someone asked him why he did that. And he's because I can.
Love
It's
it.
such a like mad scientist excuse to do a thing for me. Like, why did you do that? Because I can. This is the last one like that I was kind of seeing as a category, DIY biology, or as they call it, or calling it sometimes synthetic biology. And this is like next level to me. Like you have to have like a lot of information or like knowledge, domain specific knowledge on biology and DNA and stuff like that to make this really work. And I think where a lot of people are going with it is if you're familiar with CRISPR, have you heard about CRISPR
Yeah.
technology?
Gene editing.
Yeah, gene editing, exactly. And so like we're not all the way there, but I think we're closer and closer all the time of being able to just like this picture. It's just like a surgeon clipping out a gene and putting a different one in. That's what CRISPR lets us do. It's like DNA editing. um, so you kind of have to know what you're doing to mess around with that stuff. But like the guy that put jellyfish um, proteins into rabbit fur, like that was like very early days of gene editing and cloning. Do you have any other thoughts? Did I miss anything here? Like, is there other elements of this stuff that you think is really interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I think the gene editing is, I think, hands down the most practical. You know, being able to, you know, take a baby with a genetic, disease in the womb and, you know, solve it before they're ever born. It's like
Yeah,
that is really pretty cool. Um, so I
but
think the
then
opportunity,
doing it that at home it seems crazy to me. But I think people are they like
yeah,
doing some kind of like I gotta find out more what this means. I feel like it might just be like a marketing term for like something that scientists are really doing for real, or like they want to do someday. What do you think?
there are people like really, really fringe in the scene that are doing like, DIY gene hacking, but it's really sketchy. We just don't know. Like, I mean, having implanting things in your body is already a baseline of sketchy, but we don't really know the effects there. Like, messing with your
Oh, yeah.
genes is just that's a little, yeah. It
I
seems
think that sounds
nuts.
sketchy too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I have some info from you or some really cool videos that you did and on some of your own projects that I want to go through now and just take a look at those. So, so what are we looking at here? What is this? What is this? This
that is
thing?
a flex class bioimplant. So it's like a biosafe, flexible polymer with a HID, uh, is it HID I class legacy chip inside of it. So this is the same
Okay.
protocol that our office badges use,
Uh
and
huh.
I use a little device called a Proxmark 3 running Iceman firmware. It's like James Bond hacker
Yeah.
device. And you scan it, it's all through the command line. And I dumped the contents of my office badge, and then I cloned it to this chip you see right there. And that's the fully sterile, that's how it comes in the mail. So I cloned it
You
through
order it
there
off the internet or something.
from, yeah, dangerousthings.com, which is the best name
Okay.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And so let's see what happens. So you cloned like a key, boop, and you unlocked a door. with that
Oh
little.
yeah.
Love it. All right. So then you took that, you use this little syringe or whatever it is, and you put that thing in your hand, right?
Yeah, so I don't actually use the syringe. They use a scalpel and like a little rod to make a pocket. It's pretty
Okay.
intense. Um,
Okay.
but the syringe can be a little dangerous for the bigger ones because it's sharp, so it'll go through things as opposed to
Okay.
the rod is dulled and it'll just move things.
I see.
Because a lot of important stuff that's right here in my wrist now.
Uh huh.
So
Yeah.
um,
You have other things in there that you don't want to break. All right. So you've done that though, and so let's see. Send this one. This is your next video. Here you are getting to, I guess, an office with your
this is
bike,
this morning,
and
yeah.
then
Uh,
boop, you just touch your arm to the keypad thing, and the thing unlocks.
yep,
So that's crazy. That's like that same thing that you were testing in the package, but now it's in your arm, and you're just tapping the thing, right?
that's the exact same chip, and that was taken this morning. So when I get into the office, I come to the bike room and I have my bike and all this stuff, and I could either dig through my backpack and get my badge out and boop it, or uh,
Yeah.
have it in my wrist.
Okay. Now here's another kind of. Is it the same thing with this with the phone? The thing that you show on the phone, or that one's in your. This next one's in your hand. Let's just watch the video and you tell me what's going on. So I saw you scan something on your hand and a
Ooh,
light
baby.
flashed. Let's
That was the
watch it
first
again.
chip. That was the first chip I ever got.
Blink. Uh huh. I love that. Ooh, baby.
Ooh, baby.
And so that's a different thing from the product that you were showing us, and that's just right in there.
Yeah, so that's one of them. That's a different one in my other hand, but this one's a little closer, so you can see it kind of
Okay.
floating around in
Yeah.
there. And that's a little, it's a little piece of, it's like a little chip with a power harvesting pin for an LED. So
Uh
when your
huh.
phone's NFC scanner is active, it has a little magnetic field or electromagnetic field, harvest enough
Mm-hmm.
power to light up the LED while it's being scanned, and then it can
Uh
transmit the
huh.
data. So there's an app on my phone. I can
Okay.
write whatever string I want to it. So in that
Yeah.
video is my GitHub account, and I was like, oh,
So
this
you're
is right
opening
after I got
GitHub.
it.
Yeah.
So this is right after I got it, and I was like, oh, this will be my biohacker business card. Anybody can scan
Uh
it. And I was
huh.
like, that's not me. So just after this, I changed it to that GIF of this frog dancing. So it was like doing this for 3 years. It was a picture of that frog dancing. It's
This next one, it's the same kind of thing, but now you're unlocking your computer with it. You've got
Oh
a little
yeah.
scanner,
yeah.
right? Is that
So
what that is? Okay.
that's the exact same chip that pulled up my GitHub. And what that little reader does is it just acts like a keyboard device, and it's just reading the UUID of the chip. And I set my
Mm-hmm.
Windows machine, I set the pin to be the UUID of this chip.
Yeah.
So when I scan it,
Okay.
it unlocks my computer.
That's awesome. And you don't have to worry about losing your pin, which is something that happens to me sometimes. Okay. So then this next one is like a different thing. What is happening here?
Yeah.
You got something in your finger and it's sticking on a magnet.
Yeah, that's the first implant I ever got
Uh
in
huh.
2017. Yeah.
All right. So, what do you do with this? What is this used for? What are some common applications of having a magnet embedded in your finger?
So the first time I ever heard about this was, I think, in maybe 2006 or so. I read an article about an electrician getting a magnet implanted in their finger, and you could they could hold it over like a live wire and know if there's electricity going through it
Oh,
because you can
wow.
sense a
Yeah,
magnetic field around it. So
you could
I
feel
just
it. Yeah,
it just I could never stop thinking about that. The ability to augment your senses by
yeah,
like implanting the technology in there. So
yeah.
basically, what happens is in this finger, I have a magnet that it's a neodymium magnet encapsulated in silicon. So you implant it in there, and after a few months, nerve endings grow around the magnet. And when the
Uh-huh.
magnet is in the magnetic field, it vibrates the magnet and then it vibrates the nerves. So I
Then
can
you can
sense
feel it.
where a magnetic field is, how strong it is. On my old laptop, I
Yeah.
had an HDD and I could a magnetic memory or storage.
Yeah.
And when I was typing and I would go to like the file explorer, I could feel the drive spinning up when I was accessing something. So
That's awesome.
it's really cool. It's
Oh wow.
it's
That's
not
a
it's not
crazy feeling
practical.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
I love that embedded embed joke that
yeah
you have. You want to show that really quick to everyone?
yeah. So I am convinced that I have the first truly embedded embed. So so if I scan this, so I scan that. It says NFC tag detected, and I click on
Uh-huh.
this.
You have an embedded video. It's Adam.
Yeah, this may be my first. This video was first uploaded to Vimeo, I think, like 10 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and it's my favorite thing on the internet. So now it's just embedded in my hand.
Love it. I love it. Henry, thanks for joining me today. This is super interesting. I hope everybody had as much fun as with me as I did. I'm inspired. I don't know if I'm ready to implant anything, but I'm gonna think about it. What what are some? Do you have any like resources, or you mentioned one website that people can check out? Like, where do you like to go to like learn about this stuff and experiment?
Yeah, dangerousthings.com, which I don't know if it's a terrible name or the best name ever, but it is the de facto, I guess, like center uh, of this world for me, I guess. Uh, so you can get all your chips there. There's wearables if you don't want to quite go into the whole backroom
Oh yeah,
surgery
yeah.
route. A lot of these have like they have like rings and things like that. And then the
Okay, cool.
forums. It's a heavy
Yeah.
forum-based community on there, and the guy who owns the company I'm all is really involved.
That is
So
awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate you, Henry. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.
thanks everybody. Bye.